Good morning, channel friends.
Hamno.
So, this little piece of furniture has a shape that's uncategorized. It needs to become something that's actually categorized, so it's going to become a lovely desk.
Right. So it can be either the table for a very small kitchen, for two people who get along well and don't want any other guests, so they don't want visitors. Or it can be the perfect table for someone who needs a desk to put in a living room rather than a bedroom, a desk also for smart working or other things. So the shape of this piece of furniture will become absolutely perfect for a room of this kind. Obviously, the restyling in question hasn't been decided yet. Because it was up to me to define it, wasn't it? To define the identity of this table. We've decided to do something buzzing around in our heads for a while. So, mixing two colors that we really like, that are Lucky Forest and Monsieur, to create yet another somewhat unique teal green.
Yes, exactly.
So, we start by sanding the top well, because the wood is beautiful and has had a bit of a rough time. There are some bad marks. There are some burn marks. Maybe someone put some alcoholic things on it that have also slightly damaged the old finish. And so we bring it back to its original splendor, raw wood. And then we'll work on the underside. Should we start?
Let's start.
I'll start by sanding the top part. I'm not stripping it because there's very little to remove here, in the sense that there's a very smooth, very light finish. Actually, here there's almost nothing left, because over the years, perhaps with alcohol or other very harsh agents, they've worn away the original finish. I also want to remove some of the marks, because there are many. This will be a restyling, let's say always in style, in the sense that we don't want to erase all the years. From this piece of furniture, we want to keep its era, date it, but we also aim to make it beautiful, elegant, and delicate. So, I need to remove some of the marks. This is why I prefer a sander today rather than a paint stripper. I've put on an 80 grit paper, attached to vacuum to avoid dust, and let's start sanding. Go, Emma. The tabletop is completely sanded. If you want to know straight away what color the wood is, once it's protected, revitalized, and hydrated, always take a damp microfiber cloth and dust it. By doing this, when you dampen it, you'll see the true final tone of the wood come out. Here we have a slightly reddish grain. So you can't expect, when you go to protect it, for the wood to be a different shade. The red tint of this wood will always come through. So, if you want to leave it natural, with oil or wax, you know that this is the final result. Otherwise, you can always stain it using maror glacé or other dyes. But remember, it's important to understand right from the start what type of wood we have, its tone and finish, to match it with the color you'll use on the legs. Here, I've got a reddish tone, it's true, but with the color I'm about to use, it'll look great. I start by putting a good amount of Lucky Forest in my bowl, because I want my color to be more green. Here we go. Emma, can you help me create the color? I go quite randomly. You know I like to create colors without a plan, without measuring. but you can easily weigh them if you want to reproduce them. The Monsieur is a very particular shade. It's a very vibrant teal. It's very bright. It goes really well with the golden details. Can you hold it up for me? This one.
Thank you.
And it really adds electricity to the Lucky Forest. That's why I want to mix them.
Tell me when to stop. Stop.
Stop. Now, you see, the densities? They're different. In fact, Lucky Forest is slightly more fluid than Monsieur, and this is crucial to understand. To discover, because Magic Paint makes the colors specifically to make them adhere to all surfaces without using a primer. And so the fact that the colors don't always have the same density, but are always different, is precisely because each one is made to grip 100% without a primer on all surfaces. It's good to reiterate it because sometimes we forget it. Magic Paint is the only paint that doesn't produce a primer. I, however, would add a bit more Monsieur. I still see it a little too static.
Do I add it?
Yes.
Lord.
Stop. Perfect. Now I'll mix it well. I'll start straight away with the first coat, and we will definitely need to make it perfect and deep, also because it will be a solid, uniform color, and it won't have any techniques, but it will be beautiful, full. Let's start painting the entire surface with our paint. Look at that. Beautiful, vibrant, full. It's a stunning color. And it goes well with both classic furnishings, with brick finishes, terracotta, just like the classic Italian-style country houses. Or even with much more modern combinations, so houses with very modern finishes, with new flooring, it also goes very well with white. Second coat on this beautiful desk. The coverage is full. Look how beautiful it is.
Full. A nice teal color. Vibrant. I like it a lot.
While the color on the legs dries properly, we start applying the wax because we're going to do 2 treatments on this wood. First coat of wax because it hydrates, closes the wood's pores and protects it. Second coat with the Restauratore because it makes the surface really velvety, even more sealed. They are 2 very different products. The wax contains carnauba berry and beeswax. It's a real beauty treatment for this wood, which is very dry and old. And the Restauratore makes it even more velvety and even more pampered and cared for. The textures you get with these 2 products are also very different. However, it's very important to apply the wax underneath because it seals and closes the pores of the wood. And in this way, once the Restauratore is applied, the structure will be completely sealed and it will hydrate even better, bringing out the wood's shine. Make sure if you're having trouble to apply it first horizontally, then vertically, always following the grain of the wood with the final stroke, because to be well hydrated it needs to be full and rich. Thank you, Emma. In the meantime, the color underneath is drying and then we will be ready to do the decoration on the table.
I'm using this redesigned transfer called Perfume Notes.
You'll find it in the tube and it's a golden sheet, engraved. We'll put it on all 4 sides. Oh well, we'll start by putting it on one side, then if we like it, we'll put it on all 4 of them. Also because we need to check the height and see if it's enough. As you can see here, this tip will be cut off. But it's not a bother. We'll raise the design slightly here and try to make it look good. Right, let's get started.
I'm cutting the transfer perfectly for what I need. I'm going to cut just before the word perfumes, and by sectioning it, I'll make it much, much easier for myself. You see, it's an engraved sheet.
The center is more or less here. We cut as high up as possible, so we can fit almost all of it. What do you think? Are we good?
Yes.
Let's go. With our stick, as always. We make it stick 100%.
The transfer to the surface.
Are you ready, Emma? And there you go.
Perfect. Now let's turn the table and do it on the other 4 sides.
Let's move on to the Restauratore on the wooden part where we applied the wax earlier.
The Restauratore should be applied like this, using the same brush we used earlier for the wax.
We fill the surface well with horizontal and then vertical movements. We massage always with the brush to really get it into the wood grain. And immediately, without waiting for it to dry, with a smooth cloth, like cotton, you go and polish. You polish to help the carnauba berry and beeswax even more to make the wood beautiful, protected and velvety. And the texture you get is beautiful. Moreover, even against the light, you can't see any defects, no streaks from the wax, because by polishing it straight away, it stays beautiful. Here instead, where there's only wax.
And not the Restauratore, you can see the flaws, it's not polished yet. Beautiful. Instead, here.
It came out perfectly, velvety, pure. A coat of wax on the entire green, teal part. And look at how beautiful the tone is, once it's protected and hydrated. Well, with gold it looks really good. And always remember that if you want to hydrate the colored surface well, always do the crossed brush stroke, first against and then following the direction of the stroke. The color takes on a deep hydration and becomes slightly more vivid. I really like it.
This restyling is also finished. Emma and I have been offering you more and more pure, simple, fine, delicate restylings lately. Why, Emma?
Because people like them. They're accessible to everyone. They look good in any home, and they also showcase the basic techniques, which are sometimes important.
But especially if a piece of furniture is already so beautiful, is it needed? Does it make sense to put who knows what on top? When you have such beautiful wood, when you have such simple, delicate shapes, why would you need to put 300,000 techniques on top?
We've already enhanced the finishes. The sides used to get a bit lost, but by adding a gold transfer, we've brought out the beautiful grain of the wood and simply hydrated it using simple, natural products like waxes. So, remember, you don't always have to use 30 techniques on a piece of furniture to make it perfect. Sometimes, it takes very little. A few simple steps, but done well with the right timing, with the right methods to achieve perfection. This, for me, is perfect.
But it might not be for someone else.
But that's another story. You really liked the table from the other week, which was actually from a few weeks ago, the year's last table. The Red Country table.
That is why we continue along this line, because you all like accessing everything easily and naturally.
Let's say goodbye, but first, what do we need to remember?
That Magic Paint isn't available on Amazon.
But where?
From authorized retailers on the website www.magicpaint.it. or on the only Italian site that has the resale, which is www.elisiahome.com.
Nowhere else, if you find similar paints, they're just similar. They are not magic paint. Goodbye.